Hello fellow cyborgs, and welcome to a Friday video, which is exciting because we're in a new space and I didn't have to be as prepared as normal, so I was able to do a Friday video this week. So no Pajama Sunday this Sunday, but maybe next week or maybe not, we'll just have to see. But I promise you, you will continue to have one video a week from me, no matter how that ends up happening. So today, as the title of this video suggests, I want to show you my most anticipated TBR books. So the books on my TBR shelf that are the ones that I am most excited to get to this year, and the ones that I will hopefully get to all of them this year. I have the capacity to read more books than I think I do, even when I'm stressed out and have a job now, and so I should be able to get through these books. I don't know how many there are. Let me count really quick. There are 30 books on the shelf as it turns out, so I should for sure be able to read 30 books by the end of 2017. Forgot what year it was for a second. Anyway, let me just get onto it and start showing you some of the books. So this first book here is The Lake House by Kate Morton, and the reason why this is on this shelf is because I'm currently listening to it on audiobook, and by the time this goes live I may already have finished and rated this on Goodreads. So this was going to be happening this year, whether it was a most anticipated or not. Also, I forgot to mention before moving on that these books here on this shelf do not include buddy reads. So I have some books on my upper shelf up there that I don't know where to look this video. I'm not with it. So I have some books up there on that shelf that are buddy reads that I'm obviously going to get to this year and that I'm obviously excited about. These are just the ones that I would have to read on my own. So The Lake House is number one, and we're gonna move on. The next book is Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. This is like the most beloved Sarah Waters on BookTube as far as I can tell. I have read Tipping the Velvet by her and I really liked it. Actually, I liked it. I didn't really like it. I liked it. But I really liked her writing style, even if I didn't like those characters. This was a fairly new acquisition. I believe I got it in October of 2016, so I should have read this by the end of 2016. I was hoping to, but I didn't get to it then. So I'm hoping to get to it this year, probably later in the year, because, you know, it's like dark and spooky kind of ish, gothic-y, Victorian. That's fine. So we'll just have to see when I get to this. Next, I want to talk about a bunch of little short things, which are plays and a poetry collection all in one group, because it's painful to keep turning my body that way. So the first play I would like to read this year is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. This is a Tom Stoppard play, and I read Arcadia by him last year and I really liked it, so I'm hoping to get on with this one as well. I started reading the first couple pages the other night and I don't think I understand what's going on yet, so this might not be as easy and as fun as I was hoping it would be, but I still think that I have the absolute capability to read this by the end of the year. Another play is Edward Albee's Three Tall Women. This was a birthday gift from a friend, a dear friend, and that birthday happened almost a year ago. Give or take a few months. Well, take a few months. This is a bitty play. I think it's 50 pages long. Yeah, it's 56 pages long, so I really have no excuse or explanation for why this hasn't been read yet, so hopefully it will be read very soon. I also have two plays by Arthur Miller, them being Death of a Salesman and The Crucible. I'm hoping to read The Crucible first. It will actually technically be a reread for me, though I really don't have any memory of reading it in high school because I was a very piss poor high school English student in that I didn't read if I could get away with it. I was all up in SparkNotes business like a tyrant. I really want to actually read it and take it in, and then read Death of a Salesman, which was a lovely gift from Acacia for my birthday last year as well, because apparently I just can't read things quickly. The last play I'm hoping to get to by the end of this year is Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. This is like one of the plays that people have read and studied. This is supposed to be kind of philosophical or metaphysical. I don't know the correct term for it, but I'm hoping to actually buddy read this with one of my friends. She just doesn't really know it yet, where we just kind of like sit on her couch and read the two parts aloud to one another. So just kind of waiting for that to happen, or waiting to see if I just can't wait. But this is definitely another play that I will be able to get to by the end of this year. Fingers crossed. And for some reason, when I was looking at my shelves, I was not feeling poetry when I was sorting my TBR bookcase by most excited for, middle excited for and least excited for, or at least interested in making myself get to it this year. We'll talk about that in another video. But the one poetry collection that I do really want to get to this year is Till the Tide, an anthology of mermaid poetry edited by Trista Edwards. This I got for my birthday. Yeah, my birthday as well. So almost a year old. This has been on my shelves. And I think that this will be a really lovely book to read in the incoming summertime. So like right before summer or the first month of summer, to try to make me like summer, which is never going to happen, but at least there will be mermaids at the beginning of the hot months. The next book I want to get to this year is Marie Brennan's Midnight Never Come, which was the book included in the winter, not autumn, the winter book bath box, which is put on by our own Winks and Ink. I will link her channel down below. This is one of the 2 books that has arrived in the subscription box from her, and I haven't read either of them yet because I'm awful at reading books when I get them. That's fine, something I'm working on. But this one definitely sounds up my alley this year. It's about the Elizabethan time and it's about fairies, and I'm hoping that it'll be fast and fun and just some lovely fantasy to dip my toes into this year. Speaking of fantasy, this is Jo Walton's My Real Children. This won the James Tiptree Jr. Award in 2015, I believe, but I could be wrong and it doesn't really matter. This is an award winner, and this has to do with a woman's life being split down 2 timelines, and you get to explore both of them. So this is it science fiction? Is it fantasy? It's definitely genre fiction of some sort, and Jo Walton is one of my favorite writers. She wrote, among others, and Tooth and Claw, which I both really enjoyed, loved in fact, so I would love to love another Walton this year. Ray Bradbury is one of my favorite authors ever, and I definitely want to read all of his works in my lifetime. It's one of those long-term projects that I just keep on the back burner because there's nothing I've read from him that hasn't somehow brought me a little bit of joy. I don't have to incredibly love it, but just like the feeling of nostalgia and comfort and possibility that I find in his science fiction and fantasy writing. It's mostly science fiction. This one I think is a bit more fantasy. I think this is kind of a horror sort of story. The movie's supposed to be really creepy, so I'm thinking I might try to read this in October, but we'll see. This is the only Bradbury I have on my shelves currently, and so once I read this, I can find something else to put on my shelves. This is another fantasy, Mermaid Song by Alida Van Gors. I want to read this, and the same reason why I want to read that Mermaid Anthology Poetry Collection, Mermaid Poetry Anthology, in that I want to get excited for summer, if only because of mermaids, so I'm hoping to read this in the month of June or July. Here is Playing in the Dark, Whiteness and the Literary Imagination by Toni Morrison. As you know, Toni Morrison is my new favorite person, my favorite new author. Whatever. She was such a big hit with me with Song of Solomon and God Help the Child. I have this really short nonfiction from her that I definitely want to get to this year, simply because it's Morrison. This is Michelle Faber's The Book of Strange New Things, which technically will be a buddy read with one of my close friends, but we just haven't worked out the details, hence it's not up on the buddy read shelf yet. So this is the only Michelle Faber that I have on my shelves, and it will be the first Michelle Faber that I want to read. I remember when I first got this, it was last year, it was many eons ago at this point. I read the first few pages and I was really excited about it, but I think the length and the fact that it's Michelle Faber has kind of intimidated me, or just I've not felt like it's been the right time yet, but hopefully with the help of a friend I will be able to get through this by the end of the year. This is The Clay Girl by Heather Tucker, which I purchased when I was visiting Acacia in Maine, where she lives. This just reminds me of Acacia so much, and I know that she's having a hard time right now. I have no explanation why it's taken me so long to get to this, but I'm really excited to read this literary fiction with an imaginary seahorse. On a similar Acacia vein, this is Bodies of Light and also Signs for Lost Children by Sarah Moss. Both of these were given to me kindly by Acacia back in October, and both of these come highly recommended from Acacia Ives. Everyone is all up in the Sarah Moss hype right now. I personally am interested in these 2 books more so than the other books that people have been seeming to love by her. So these are some literary fiction, some historical literary fiction that I'm really looking forward to getting to this year. I can't really say that I'm looking forward to finishing Bastard Out of Carolina by Dorothy Allison, but you know, where did I get to in this one? I got to page 71, chapter 6, when I started reading this last year. And the dread surrounding the upcoming child sexual abuse that I know is going to happen in here was too much for me at the time. However, after reading a couple of awful books for that same subject matter in the meantime, hopefully I will be a bit more able to stomach this time. I've put it down because of the dread, not because I wasn't enjoying the writing style or the story itself. So hopefully I will find my courage and finally finish reading about Bone. This is The Dance Hall Years by Joan Haggerty, which I hauled before I left Canada, pretty soon before I left Canada. This is from Mother Tongue Publishing, which is a tiny publisher up in Vancouver Island, or on Vancouver Island. And this is an enriching, complex family saga and interracial drama, brimming with beautiful writing, that spans the years from the Depression to World War II to the 1970s, and it has to do with, specifically during World War II, the Japanese internment and how that interferes and intersects with this family that this story is about. So many things that I love about that back, and this book is also just really beautiful. I love the spine. So I definitely just need to get to this because this could be an absolutely fantastic read for me. Emily of New Moon by L.M. Montgomery I'm really excited to read, not only because this is perhaps like one of the most beautiful covers on my shelves, and if I read the first one and love it, then I will allow myself to track down the second and third books in this series in the same edition, because matching editions are pretty. I'm in the middle of the Anne of Green Gables series, and I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it. But I think Emily might be the lady I want to read about when it comes to Ellen Montgomery's writing. So fingers crossed Emily and I become fast friends, because I'm really looking forward to trying this out. This is Derek Landy's Desolation, which is the second book in the Demon Road trilogy, which is his purely YA new series that is not the Skullduggery Pleasant series. I read the first book, which was called Demon Road, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't the same as Skullduggery, but it was still entertaining enough to give the second book in the series a try. I got this for my birthday last year. Again, I just don't get to things quickly. So hopefully once I finish my beloved Skullduggery Pleasant series this year, then I will move on to the second book in the new series. Wet Magic by E. Nesbit is perhaps the TBR book I have had on my shelves for the longest time. I believe I bought this when I was 13, and I have not read it. That will be 14 years coming in July. That's a problem. I don't like that. And the longer I wait to read this, the more I'm afraid it's not going to live up to my expectations. So I just really need to bite the bullet and try this. And if I don't like it, it's fine. Then I'll just have a hardcover off my shelves. But if I like it, that's great. So I want to read this in the summertime because mermaids make the summer better. I just hit myself in the face. Here are 2 recent hauls that I hauled in January. That was the month. Time Cat and The Cat Who Wished to Be a Man by Lloyd Alexander. These are cat books. These are children's cat books. And I haven't read them yet because reasons. So hopefully I will enjoy these. They will be far more enjoyable than the anthology cat stories. And they will be about cats. So hopefully they will be good, and I will read them soon. This is Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde, which is a collection of essays, I believe, and discussions. Yeah, different essays and discussions on various topics by a Black lady writer. So this I hauled last year sometime when I was hauling things from my Black literature shelf, and this is one of the ones I have yet to read that I'm really excited to get to. So hopefully I will try this out and fall in love and continue reading, and it will be grand. You've seen this a few times before. This is my best known works of Oscar Wilde collection. I'm holding this up because I really need to continue making a dent in this. I have now read the novel in here, which I didn't read this year, read it before, and the 5 plays in here, but I still have a butt ton of poetry, have some essays, have some fairy tales and short stories, so I really just need to keep this in my conscious mind and plug away at it, because if I don't chip away at it, then it will never get finished. This is my collection of the short novels by John Steinbeck, which I have been hoping to read the first one in this collection, which is The Red Pony, for 4 months now, but it just has not happened. It's really hard for me to pick up collections, big books like this that contain little things, because I look at it as a big thing. So anyway, I just need to actually start this and work on reading the short novels of John Steinbeck, because John Steinbeck, I really want to read him. I really want to reread East of Eden, actually, but my time would be more productively spent with my 0x18 challenge of getting through his short novels instead. So hopefully I will start this soon, because really, Amanda, just do it. This is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, which is one of my most intimidating books that I want to read this year, simply because I think I'm going to hate this, and I'm not that excited to read it actually, but I've had this on my shelves for ages. This is a copy that I think my grandmother gave me. I don't know. It's kind of falling apart, which makes me not want to read it. I don't know. I just have so many complicated feelings surrounding Little Women, but if I don't really make an effort to read it, then I don't know if I ever will. And I don't want to not read this really old, pretty book that's on my shelves and has been there for 10 years. That's not fair. So hopefully I will get to this year, and maybe toward the end of the year. I don't like putting it off toward the end of the year, but I think this starts on Christmas Day, so I won't wait till Christmas Day, but maybe I'll read it in December. Speaking of December, I have 3 books here that I want to read in December because they are Christmassy or wintry. This first one is Winter's Tales by Isaac Dennison, aka Karen Blixen, or rather Karen Blixen, aka Isaac Dennison. This is a collection of, I think, 11 different tales that have been called Winter's Tales. I don't know how much they actually are going to have winter in them, but the title alone makes me happy. So I want to pick this up in early December in the lead up to Christmas to get excited and feel wintry, even though it'll probably be 75 degrees still. I also want to work through this Christmas Stories anthology. Anthology, I know, but maybe Christmas will make it okay, even though Cats didn't make the last one okay, in the lead up to Christmas to get me excited, because as an adult, Christmas is full of so many emotions, and it's not the nostalgic excitement ones that I remember, so I'm hoping to be able to bring that excitement back into my adult life through the literature I consume in the lead up to Christmas. So hopefully this will be fun, please. And finally, I have this teeny tiny adorable collection of Christmas poems, so want to read that in the lead up to Christmas. This also has a bunch of lyrics from carols that I hear every year and want to sing along to, but can't because I don't know the words, so maybe I will actually learn some of those carols this year. So that is it. Those are the books that I am most excited to be reading, or that I definitely want to read by the end of this year. I'm thinking about that one, because if I don't, then when will I? So yes, at the moment, I'm feeling a bit of pressure, but I just gotta keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Please let me know in the comments down below the top 3 books on your TBR that you are most excited to get to, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your physical TBR. It could just be your imaginary one, the one where you are going to borrow that book soon, or buy that book soon, or hopefully get it for a special occasion. Thank you for watching. Thank you as always to my patrons, and until next time, continue to be lovely.